So now Donald Trump says he would be honored to have the support of Black Lives Matter after Mark Fisher went on Fox News and endorsed him for president. Now, Mark Fisher claimed to be a co-founder of the Black Lives Matter movement out of Rhode Island. That's since been disputed by several people in the Black Lives Matter community. They have came out now and said that he was not a co-founder, that he was a respected advocate at one point, but that this is nothing more than a publicity stunt. And this is just another attempt to muddy the water. They said anybody out there can put the words Black Lives Matter in their organization in an attempt to discredit the movement. And they have condemned Mark Fisher. But Fox News sure is singing his praises. Donald Trump's singing his praises. And now Trump supporters suddenly are all about Black Lives Matter. And it's just not the flex that they think it is. Because for years now, we have heard Donald Trump and his followers refer to Black Lives Matter as a hate group. Donald Trump called them a symbol of hate. He said that they were burning down cities and that they were bad for the black community. And now he says he would be honored to have their support. I guarantee you that if Hunter Biden came out tomorrow and said that he thought Donald Trump did a better job as president than his own dad's doing now, Donald Trump would call him a great American. And everybody would suddenly just drop the whole laptop story and they would all be Hunter Biden fans. It's the most ridiculous shit that I've ever seen in my life, that people will fall for this stuff and be like, oh, look, cool, we got a black guy that agrees with us. Okay, that doesn't change anything. At the end of the day, it does not change anything. Do you think that we're suddenly going to change the arguments that we're having? Do you think we're going to stop making the same arguments just because you got a black guy now that agrees with you? Because you've got another one you can add to the list, we're going to suddenly change? Go look at Agenda 47. We disagree with that. It doesn't matter how many black people that you get to come over to your side. I don't care if Mark Fisher brings over 100 new ones tomorrow. It's not going to make a difference, because we still do not believe in what Donald Trump wants to implement when he gets in for a second term. We still see things completely different. And that's not going to change because you suddenly got a black guy that endorses Trump. You know, they are always the ones that says, oh, you guys make it about race. You make everything about race. But then they turn when they get one black guy that will agree with them, and they'll say, look, now that makes us right about everything. It doesn't. It doesn't any more than when Republicans leave the Republican Party. Does that change your mind? When Republicans that used to stand with Donald Trump turns on Donald Trump, you call them rhinos. You say that they're not real Republicans, and you turn on them immediately. When independents and moderates that used to sometimes vote Republican says, oh, I'm never voting Republican again now because of this madness. Does that change your mind? Does that sway you, or do you just double down and say that they're radicals? And hey, I used to go to church. You know, I was saved when I was 6 years old. I was baptized when I was 20 in a Southern Baptist church by a Southern Baptist preacher who's now a Trump supporter. Okay, and I've came out since then and became an agnostic, and I study Buddhism. Does that mean you don't believe in God anymore? Is that going to make you not believe in God because I walked away? I know so many people that have walked away from the church and are now atheists or agnostics. I know a whole bunch of them. I could bring them on here and they could talk. Would that change your mind? Would that be proof or evidence to you that God didn't exist? No, you would still believe in God. You would still stand for what you stood for. It wouldn't matter how many people that I brought over to my side. So it doesn't matter if Mark Fisher endorses Donald Trump. It doesn't matter at all, because the arguments are still going to be the same, and we're still going to be over here fighting on the side of truth and fighting on the side of democracy. That's where we're going to be standing. And it's just sickening to me that people in this country don't have an understanding of what racism is. They don't realize it. There's people that'll say it. I hear it all the time. I hear people when sports teams starts drafting new players, I hear it all the time. Oh, our boys are looking good this year. Our boys are looking good. Well, how many of your boys is at your cookout? How many of them's hanging out with you? Just because your papa's favorite country singer was Charlie Pride does not mean that he didn't have some racial tendencies, okay? Just because, you know, your mama used to laugh when she watched JJ on Good Times, that doesn't mean that racism don't exist in this world. I never realized just how ignorant people are on the entire subject. And it's pretty sickening to sit and watch them point to people like Candace Owens and now to Mark Fisher and different people and say, look, we found a black person that agrees with us, when we know that if that black person says one word to rock the boat in the slightest direction, they will turn on them and suddenly demonize them just like they have all along. And that is what is so ridiculous about it. I don't care if Mark Fisher endorsed Donald Trump. I don't care if 10,000 black men tomorrow comes out and says, we all endorse Donald Trump. It's not going to change the arguments that we're making at the end of the day. And it's not going to change our minds on what's right and wrong. We know the difference.